All right, I've done my best to disable autofocus, so I'm hoping that I don't blur in and out as I lean forward and talk. You are still going to see some artifacting across the top here because that's just the limitation of a webcam. Maybe if more of you guys subscribe to my channel, I can upgrade and get a little bit nicer camera. But for now, we're going to go ahead and stick with this. And I decided to use my normal voiceover setup, which is actually me talking on this microphone, pacing all around the room like a madman. When I do all my voiceovers, that's actually how I do this. But I thought I'd do it in a video format today because I wanted to stand and stretch my legs a little bit because I was sitting all day listening to a discussion on AI and how we were going to implement AI into a product I'm working on at work. Interestingly enough, today Microsoft also had their AI, their summit, and they talked a lot about the future of Windows AI, specifically with gaming, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. So here is what they are working on. They are working on the ability for AI to be kind of integrated into your game to provide help and feedback. The idea here is to make it as easy for you as a gamer as possible to get quick information to things that you need to understand without reliance on kind of third-party services. So imagine this. You're in a game, you're playing, you're trying to beat a hard level, and you're stumped, or you don't know how to find the end of a puzzle, or there's a hard boss mechanic that doesn't make sense. What Microsoft wants you to be able to do is ask AI in real time to figure out where you are in the game and to provide you real-time feedback on what you need by pulling this down from the internet. So no longer would you have to pause the game and pick up your phone and your tablet and go to a game site to navigate what you need to see. Instead, you're going to use this built-in AI feature to be able to get the data you need. Now, does that sound familiar? If it does, well, you're right. PlayStation tried this a couple of years ago with the launch of PlayStation 5 that they called the PlayStation Card System. The card system was designed to give you in-game real-time feedback on major objectives to complete or major achievements to work on or guides. And if you remember that, you probably remember when Google offered it a couple of years ago. Remember when Google was in the video game business for like 3 minutes and they had their streaming service that would allow you to play games anywhere in the world? Do you remember that they included interface into YouTube that was supposed to be able to scan where you were in a game in real time and provide you relevant videos on the topic, completely taking you out of it, having the machine language instantly learn and look and figure out where you were in the world and say, oh, I know that's a background, or this is a unique boss I can identify, or they're clearly on a crafting menu. They need help with this part of the game, and it would automatically pull up YouTube and give you guidance. Well, you know what the card system and YouTube system both have in common? Nobody used them and they died. Nobody used them. Nobody cared. So it's interesting to see that Microsoft, once again, a day late and a dollar short, contributing to the discussion, showed off Microsoft Copilot integrated into Minecraft. And today they showed off a demo with the players asking a question like, how do I craft a sword? And I'm reading right here from the article. It says, Copilot will search your chest and inventory for the necessary materials or guide you to them if you don't have them. It will then how to explain how to craft the item and so on, eliminating the need to Alt-Tab and read a website. Interesting. Now that is definitely a step up from what everyone else was doing. Not only is the AI in this case trying to help you, it's actually taking feedback automatically from your play session and figuring out the easiest way for you to reach your goal. How interesting is that? Imagine if you're playing Skyrim and you're trying to fight a boss. The AI could look at your inventory and say, hey, you have a bow and arrow. That's a lot better to use than a sword. But if you had a spell, that would be even better. But we went through your inventory. You don't have a spell. So we're going to recommend use the bow and arrow. And here's how you're going to do that. That is interesting. Now that does intrigue me. That is more than just taking the idea of a guide and actually injecting it into a game. That is real-time assessment of what you have going on in your system and being able to provide you feedback. And to me, That has always been the problem with AI, is that you have to hold its hand and you have to give it very discrete and very specific instructions. When you rely on AI to just do its thing and just let the cloud work and let the process work, it never figures out what you want. And if you don't believe me, go on any website with any AI image generator or AI website like ChatGPT. Ask it to write you a paper on something. Don't give it a lot of context and look at the crap it spits out, because it doesn't know. And that's the limitation of AI. So if Microsoft is saying they're willing to invest in really harnessing and focusing AI in on specific elements of a game, that could be interesting. It could look at a boss fight and figure out, based on how much health you have left, the best strategy to take. Or it could tell you, based on where you are on a map, the closest location to get a crafting material to build your sword if you don't have one. Now, these are very rudimentary examples, and I wonder, as you get more complex, is the AI going to be smart enough to know? Or is AI going to say, oh, the only way to beat this boss is to go get a spell. So go grind. Here's where the best place to get experience is, and then come back in 10 levels. That might be the answer, I guess. I don't know if that's the answer people are going to want to hear, but that could be an answer. So I'm really excited to see where this product goes. Microsoft does definitely have that overwhelming cloud. I mean, a lot of their services have gone live. Recall that the whole idea of Xbox Game Pass's remote streaming is meant to be for you to connect to a server base or a server bank somewhere out there and to let them do the processing and you just play your game. Now, it's still going to require people to understand and put limitations on the AI. So it's only going to be as good as the information that people sit down and encode to it. AI is smart enough to know to go out and find other sources of information. Would AI be smart enough to look through the entire YouTube catalog, for example, and find every single video explanation and give you a recommended course of action? That may be what this ultimately devolves into. Because if you think about it, that's a lot of very situational stuff that you are asking AI to be able to figure out on the fly. You're going to basically have to teach AI how to play a game and then let it see your game and be able to compare and contrast versus what it has. I fear that what may ultimately happen is that this program is basically going to just revert to kind of just the best aggregate of data. You see that right now in Amazon, for example. When you look at Amazon Prime, or you go to an Amazon review, it'll tell you an AI explanation at the beginning. And it'll say, hey, based on 1,000 people that have reviewed this product, here's kind of the general gist of what it is. And it just gives you a very brief summary. It doesn't really provide significant value added. It doesn't include specific examples or specific pros, specific cons. It doesn't include any pictures that people might have found helpful or any part of a review that people have found helpful. It just kind of takes all the data and just mushes it in there. And I fear that's where this may end up going, because you do have a lot of great game guides out there. You do have a lot of YouTube content. You do have a lot of people who are fans of the industry creating very specific guides like Brady Games and a lot of websites, for example, that will go out and provide you step-by-step instructions on how to do things. And there is a lot of wasted cycles there. It does obviously take you out of the experience, and the guide is written for everybody. So it's going to walk you through the most basic things to kind of get you where you need to be. You're going to have to do a lot of scrolling and ciphering through data to get to the piece that's most specific for you. If AI could do all of that, though, that would be quite impressive. That would allow you to focus more on the game. So I'm very intrigued by this, but I think there are limitations. I think the Sony PlayStation card system, I think what Google tried to do with their aggregate data, where they were going out and trying to pull out websites for you to kind of compare to where you were and you can watch somebody else doing it. I think they failed for a lot of reasons, because I think they realized there wasn't a significant cost return there. Microsoft isn't doing this just for fun. Microsoft, if they're not going to open this up for me to help create guides, let's say on Halo, for example, how do they even know I'm an expert in Halo? Am I even an expert in Halo? How am I going to be able to provide the machine? As we're right now, when you put something on Reddit or YouTube or social media, the more people who see it typically tend to kind of raise that aggregate score up. It's a more meaningful thread for you to click on. And that's why the suggested videos for you are not mine, unfortunately, because I'm a small channel, but instead the videos that they pose for you are ones where people have been watching for, thousands and millions of views with lots of fan interaction. Doesn't mean they're right, but it means they're popular. More often than not, the two are the same. So this will be interesting to see how this pans out. There's a lot of technical questions I have as well in terms of kind of the processing power of Xbox and kind of how data works. But this is something that is still very much in its infancy. I think the idea and the implementation of what AI could be going forward is awesome. I think this is something that a gamer could use to their advantage to make their game experience a little more interesting and entertaining, but we are definitely not there yet. But I will absolutely stay tuned on this one, and when more data becomes available, or a demo or a beta or something, when I can get my hands on it and really put it through its paces, I absolutely will, and I'd love to cover that for you guys. That'll wrap up today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.